Good day. Thank you for joining us at this wonderful Golden Key Southern Africa webinar, Financial Being with Rudi Bouwer. As you are logging on, kindly just put your name and surname in the chat function and tell us where you are logging in from. Welcome to this webinar. Golden Key Southern Africa presents Financial Wellbeing with Rudi Bouwer. While you are logging on, kindly put your name and surname in the chat box. We want to welcome you and also tell us where you are logging in from. I see Natasha Maharaj from Centurion. Welcome, Natasha. Welcome. Financial Wellbeing with Rudi Bouwer. This is the second webinar in a series of 3 webinars. I see Shakira Dawood from Durban, Ilanri Kroukamp from Pretoria, Kiri Bone from Bloemfontein. Welcome, everyone. Kindly put your name in the chat function. We would like to welcome you. Rufaru from Cape Town. Thieb Segano from Pretoria. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Loreen van Vieren from Brisbane. Welcome, Loreen. Madeleine van Straten, Sasolburg. Kezani Max in Cape Town. Upiani. Welcome. Kagiso Mangwale from East London. Lucia Lujika from Johannesburg, we welcome you this morning. Tenswalo Sambo from Tanin, Alwyn Ray from Johannesburg, Sia, East London, Bontle from Joburg, even from Durban, Menengle, welcome. Kinsani from Joburg, Lerato Lahora from Bloemfontein, and we are having so many members join us today at this wonderful webinar, Financial Wellbeing with Rudi Bouwer, Llewellyn from Joburg and Owami from Durban. And without further ado, we would like to welcome our speaker here this morning, Rudi Bouwer, who is no stranger to us. He has done so many webinars with Golden Key that he is already part of our team, we would say, and the students always really enjoy his webinars. We welcome him from the Wealth Room this morning, and we thank him for taking this time to come and share with us his expertise and to engage in and to practically apply financial tools and structures in order to enjoy financial well-being. So without further ado, Rudi, we would like to welcome you to this platform, and we look forward to what you are here to present for us today on financial well-being. I give over to you, Rudi.
Thank you so much. And as always, it's such a pleasure to address this esteemed group of people. It's so amazing always to see how many people from all over South Africa join these webinars, and it's truly humbling to me. It's also it's an opportunity to live out my complete purpose and passion. So yeah, thank you for embracing me this morning. And you know, I just think it's you know, the topic that I've chosen today is one quite close to my heart, because I think so many people live lives that are so distressed and you know, out of sync with who they are truly meant to be, and what their God-given purpose is, you know. And I think it's not a topic that is discussed openly enough, in my opinion. I think it's something that if we have to consider what financial well-being means, and the impact that ignoring it has had on societies all over the world, let alone South Africa. You know, it's one of the most, it's one of the biggest influences in corporate society, especially where people get dragged into, you know, their corporate jobs and are not taught about financial well-being. It leads to high turnover in staff. It leads to high volume of stress, depression, anxiety, all things that are not, you know, part of who we are meant to be as humans. So yeah, I'd like to just shed some light on that. It's a lot more of a, you know, an emotional topic than it is educational, but I think it's educational in the sense that it's something that raises awareness, and something that I'd like to share with you guys. You know, we will be hosting quite a lot of webinars where we'll be, you know, very straightforward with informational stuff on investments and all that kind of stuff, like we've done in the past. So maybe just comment in the comments section. I am watching the comment section here. You know, if this is your first If this is your first webinar with me, and if maybe you've joined a few in the past, I really just like to get you guys' feedback. It's really awesome to get feedback from you guys. My team and I really just embrace your questions, and we really get humbling responses from you guys. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive in. So the question to ask is, what is financial well-being? It's as I said, that's it's basically something that not many people take too much time thinking about. But if you look at the picture that I've put in there, it's passive income, it's eliminating your debt, it's managing your money, it's planning, reducing your expenses, it's investing, increasing cash flow, simplifying your life, setting goals and saving money, and that's all stuff that I'm pretty sure you guys have all seen and we've all spoken about. But financial well-being is more, a state of being. It's a state of mind where you can actually understand that you are able to meet your financial obligations. Now that sounds very simple, but it's not. It's something that you have to know within yourself, and it takes time and planning and structures that you need to actually put in place. And it's also more to do with how you show up to your life, and getting in control of your finances rather than your finances being in control of you. It's having that sense that you have security for your financial future. And how you do that is really just by engaging with your personal financial planning. It's really important to establish that low financial well-being is really the number one reason why people live under strain and stress. I think for most of you who are still students, I know that you guys go through stress and that your courses are all very stressful, but I'm talking about the real stress of life. I'm talking about juggling your career, juggling family time, juggling personal passions, and those personal passions eventually becoming a sideline or a dream that is killed because of the stresses that financial pressure puts on people. And this can all be alleviated by just really being intentional with the way that you show up to your finances. People always want to know, so what is the number? What is the number that I need in my bank account to establish financial freedom? The truth is, there's no real number. It's more about that your well-being is something that you choose and know how you actually show up to your life and show up to your finances in the way that you really have an understanding of what your plan is, firstly, and I'll delve into this more in some of the slides coming, but how you actually plan and structure your life, and design sustainably a life that you really want and know that you can live in a sustainable fashion. So how do you know whether you are on the right track? Firstly, you need to know that everyone has an opinion, and it's up to you to know who you're asking and what questions are the right question to ask. You can just take something as simple as the vaccine for a topical thing, just to see how much confusion there can be around any kind of question that you ask. So again, it's up to you to understand what is the right questions to ask and who are the right people to ask these questions, because your neighbor will be bragging about his fancy stock portfolio or the latest Bitcoin bubble, or buying creative shares in some company or whatever it may be. Your grandmother will tell you that everyone is out to con you and you should hide your money under the pillow. Please don't do that. But the truth is that there is no one size fits all approach to generating wealth and setting yourself up for your future. I think what I'm wanting you guys to establish today, that everyone has different objectives and preference levels of comfort. You have to decide that for yourself and not be so fixated on what other people think about you or what others' opinions are of what your life needs to look like. As soon as you can free yourself from that, I think you're on the first step to success. Because we live in this Instagram reality where everybody is showing us their best versions. And the truth is that doesn't really matter, but we spend an inordinate amount of time comparing ourselves, and that actually creates unnecessary stress, unnecessary or unmet expectations, or something that just it's a fallacy. It's actually not even real. So it's really important that you stay true to yourself and true to what you can achieve in your life going ahead. Yes, I see Rufaro says comparison is the thief of joy. And that is really, really true. If I leave you with any message today, thank you for saying that, Rufaro. I think that's one of the top messages that you can take away from today. So, one of the things that you can look out for is your preferred lifestyle. This is about understanding what you value in your life and what's going to make your existence meaningful. Purpose is a very big driving force to living a joyful life. And that is up to you. It's, what your gifts and talents are and how you can actually impact the world around you. It's when you can set up your life in a way that you are actually living in that flow state, whereby you are showing up to the world in a way that you are living out your God-given purpose, not because you want to live this or you need to live this life to sustain your material desires. Now, I know that this is a very airy-fairy approach to things, and we've all heard this. And for some people, it feels like it's not possible. But I promise you, my wife and I are spending so much time and effort to get away from the clutches that daily living can put on our lives, so that we can choose what it is that we want to do and live out our purpose every single day. And I promise you, the more you live like that, the more things will attract to you because of the state of mind that you will be living in on a day-to-day basis, and that you won't be so swayed by others' opinions, and that your mood and your portrait of yourself will not be dependent on what people around you are saying about you or the way that you show up to your job. I just think that it's something that needs to be said, and it's something that we as a collective and as a younger generation need to start taking a stand for, because of this social media environment that we expose ourselves to on a daily basis, that actually steals and destructs more than it gives. And we need to, as an intellectual group of people, start voicing this to the people around us. And I think we could live in a much happier, flowing society. Success means different things for different people. And for some, it's a big house, 2 cars, and a club membership. For others, it might just be to travel abroad once a year. And for others, it might be a simple life and to go on early retirement. This webinar is not to say don't have nice things, stay away from materialism. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying know what you want from life and create the right circumstances, create the right environment for yourself to sustainably live your life, and don't just be dependent on one source. Create multiple sources, create a place where that if materialistic things are a part of your life, as it is a part of all of ours, but it needs to be that the way that you identify with these material things, that it's just kind of a reward for achieving your ultimate purpose, that it's not the source that actually drives your full identity in the end of the day. Financial well-being is understanding that you don't have to fit into anyone else's ideal situation. You are able to create the life that you want to live and actually show up to it in a way that you are proud of the life that you live, no matter what that looks like to anyone else. That it's not that you're not successful because you don't own a yacht or a Lamborghini, but that you know that you are successful because you are a teacher, because that's what you choose to do, because you know that that's your God-given purpose, and that you choose to be a mother eventually, because that's what you and your husband or your spouse choose, and that's the life that you choose to live, because that's what you want to give to the universe around you, and to share with your loved ones. That to me is the definition of success, not this pinnacle moment where you arrive and your income is now something that derives your complete sense of being, saying that I've got this huge title and I've got a big salary. Look at me, I am special. But actually, deep down inside, the expectation that that title and that income has on you kills you softly inside, because it's kind of like selling your soul to having that, unless that is where you end up, because that's what your godly given talents are, and you end up in a position that way, and you get compensated, for those gifts and talents. But I think what you're hearing that I'm trying to come across to say to you guys today is that that mustn't steal your energy and become your identity. You must show up to your environment and change the environment and be the driving force of your destiny, particularly in serving those around you and making a difference, because that is sustainable, and that is in the end of the day what will give you unsustainable or a sustainable source of energy and life-giving happiness and joy around you. You only need to work out what lifestyle you want, since you will be the one held accountable to sustaining that lifestyle. And that's a big one, because if you choose to be the person that's going to drive Ferraris and live in big houses and all that kind of stuff, that's great. I'll be the first to say to you, that's something that I don't mind pursuing. But I am also very aware of what it does to people, because if they're not aware of what they're saying yes to, they're also then not aware to what they're saying no to. And that's something that requires some wisdom. And seen a lot of people pursue this big lifestyle and only just to end in shambles. So it's just about showing up to your life in a way that you are a little bit more intentional and wake up to your real circumstances, and wanting more of that sustainable source than just the material gratification, if it may be. And then set realistic financial goals. Write them down, put them on paper. If they are unrealistic in the sense that that you fear that you don't know how to achieve them, then they are good goals. But be realistic about it, and don't just set goals because it's something that you've seen on Instagram or seen your friend achieve, or seen something that it may just be a want. It's not even something that is realistic for you, because all that it ends up being is that you end up being disappointed when this is not something that you can achieve or make a part of your life, because then it's always someone else's dream that you're living, not your own. It's very important to take stock of what stage of life you're in. It's fascinating to me to see young people today be in the early career stage, wanting to be the next CEO of the company they joined 6 months ago. It really just fascinates me. I think it's amazing to see that kind of ambition in young people. But I think it's just important for you to know that, especially when you're in that early career stage, that you are not in a stage of your life where accumulation should be your main driving force. In this stage of your life, you should really be setting down a proper foundation to set yourself up for a win. And what I mean when I say that, between early career and career development is really the stage of your life where you have the ability to start defining exactly what it is that you want to do. Because a job shouldn't just be a job. Really, guys, it should be a passion. It should be something that you pursue, that you can, this energy that I've been talking about in the previous slides, is something that you can either spend or build. Now, if you're in a career where you really have a passion and a purpose for it, this is energy that you won't be spending. It's energy that you will be building, because this is your passions actually build your energies, because you get energized by influencing people. And when you are driving projects that actually are your passions, this becomes a sustainable driving force for your life. And the reason why I'm saying this to you is because I think a lot of people get to this point between the age of, especially between 28 to like 35, where they feel they're now old, and they haven't achieved the level of success that they want to, and give up. If you've read the book Think and Grow Rich, most people in their life, really successful people in their life, had no success between the ages of 25 to 50. Real success in the sense that whatever they built became a real driving force and had momentum that could not be stopped, only happened from that age. So the reason why I'm saying that to you is so that you can just give yourself a little bit of grace and slow down your expectations, and really start digging deep and getting intentional with what it is that you want to achieve in life, and stop being so anxious about, what's the next title, what's the next paycheck. Sure, I understand that you need to build your lives and rent needs to be paid and all that kind of stuff. But it's really just important that you give yourself some grace, and that you actually start showing up to your life as a marathon and not a sprint, because you have time. You can be 60 years old and still become the next best thing. Colonel Sanders from KFC only made his big break in his 70s, I think it was. So I'm not saying that you have to live a mediocre life, but what I'm talking about here in particular today is the way that you perceive this ambition, and that you start becoming a little bit more patient with yourself. Because when you show up from that patient place, I think that the confidence in which you show up will be much greater, because you're not comparing yourself to somebody that's already made it. You're giving yourself grace to grow. You'll start asking the questions and stop feeling like you need to have all the answers. You'll be a lot more inquisitive and childlike in the way that you will start using your imagination and really growing yourself into your peak accumulation years, and just showing up to your life in a manner that you know that you are where you are right now, because that's where you need to be. Sihle, the book that I mentioned is Think and Grow Rich. It's written by Napoleon Hill. Fantastic book that I think will inspire all of you. It's not the first time we mention it. All right, and then if you have to look at your goal setting, I think somebody mentioned the SMART model somewhere up in the chats. But yeah, that's the model that I kind of look at. It was Patricia that mentioned the SMART model. It's, you need to know that your goals can be specific, and that you can actually break them down into smaller steps. You need to know what they are and how you will achieve them. Most of the time, people are writing down goals, a goal that could specifically probably only be achieved in 20 years, but rank their success or their identification with themselves to how they actually, or whether they even achieved this goal, but never took the time to break it down into smaller steps and actually live the rest of their lives feeling like a failure because they wrote down this big goal and did not achieve it. Very important that it needs to be motivational. I don't think motivational necessarily to everyone else. I think the point that I'm making today is that probably rather not motivational to anyone else but yourself. It needs to be something that drives you. There needs to be an emotional charge to this because that's where the passion will derive. Because you need to have the energy to carry this goal out. It needs to be something that you can wake up and be excited about every day. So yeah, then you need to be accountable. You need to be held accountable to your goal. So if you guys don't have mentors, I do speak about that quite a lot. Sure, man. Hold yourself accountable by telling somebody that will ask you how it's going. And talk about your goals. You know, put them on the table when you're at dinners and at or sitting with somebody that inspires you. I think that's really, really important. You need to be responsible with your goals as well, because I mentioned this earlier in the webinar, is that whatever you say yes to in life, you need to understand that you're saying no to something as well. So it's not just about what you're saying yes to, it's about what you're saying no to. So what I mean by that is if you're saying yes to, becoming the next CEO of Eskom, maybe let's all say yes to that. Just kidding. But that means that that's going to be a significant amount of hours spent, and you probably won't be able to be a family, have any time with your family. So that means that when you say yes to that career choice, that you are aware that you're saying no to something else, and that you can actually start navigating that emotionally and spiritually in the way that you actually speak about it, so that when you are faced with the challenge of that thing that you said no to, that you are actually intrinsically okay with it because you made a choice on both regards, not just on what you could gain from it. Really important. So you need to also know what will be the end result. So you need to understand what that would look like for you in your mind's eye. And really just focus on that and when you are focusing on how you're going to achieve your goals. I think one of the other things that you need to start looking at is just being protected from the unexpected. This is, because the question that I asked you is, how do you know that you're on track? Protecting from the unexpected, I think there's a lot of attention giving on the creating wealth for retirement, and so many underestimates three more immediate risks. And sorry to be Debbie Downer, but premature death, illness or injury, and the associated out-of-pocket expenses, which could potentially cripple you financially. So just implementing, personal insurance can mitigate these risks. And really, guys, it's not something that needs to break your bank. But I think in a lot of ways, people have put a grudge purchase or grudge feeling towards insurances. But in my real opinion, I just see so many successful businessmen that would have been completely destroyed had they not had proper insurances in place. And not all insurances are good, so I would recommend that you speak to a financial advisor or somebody that that you can know and trust, not just somebody that's going to sell you any product, but somebody that understands your need and will take the time to understand why you need these insurances. But definitely, before you even start your journey to saving for retirement or saving for your rainy days and stuff, I think putting these risk mitigations in place will really put you in a position where you can protect your future income. Because as I said in the previous webinar, your future income is your biggest asset at this point in time. The average person will probably earn between 10 to 60 million rand in their life, in their lifetime. So putting together something like an income protection on that income as soon as possible before your health deteriorates is something that I would advise strongly. And myself and my team will be happy to speak to you guys about that should you be interested. Then I've mentioned this earlier. Seeking guidance and advice is something that has really catapulted my career and my personal success in so many ways, because I was able to sit down with people that have made the mistakes that I would have made had I not been in their presence. Now, I think this is something that when you speak to people about it, they want to know, how did you find a mentor? The first thing to know about finding a mentor is don't ask someone to be your mentor. I think it's something that you need to pursue. There are people around you, preferably someone you know, but is not too involved in your personal life. But it's something that you need to engage in. That's the accountability in all of this, because the amazing thing about having a mentor is that it's actually mutually beneficial. Because not only will you be learning from this person, but you're actually putting yourself in a position where you can be teaching someone else something significant purely by the way of how you ask questions and giving them the opportunity to answer them in a way where they can test their skill and knowledge. So this is really a mutually beneficial thing. It's something that I would really say that you guys need to pay some close attention to and pursue, because it will free you from making mistakes that are potentially very costly. And yeah, it will drive you into creating a relationship with somebody that you probably wouldn't in normal circumstances. I'm actually playing golf with one of my mentors today. And it's just amazing what that relationship has become over time. And I would strongly advise that that's something that you pursue in your careers and your personal life. All of you are still going to probably get married and all that kind of stuff. You don't just have to have mentors in your in your professional life, but really asking questions about the beauty that is marriage and how the intricacies can be navigated through proper communication, and what the pitfalls are. Just being a little bit more aware of yourself and being vulnerable to somebody, so that you don't have to always be on the back foot. Then, I think it's something you guys need to start understanding on, your financial freedom and your financial well-being needs to be an expression of who you are. It can't be this constant task and discipline. Sure, that's great to get all of these things started, but if you want to live out a life that just oozes all these great things that we see on Instagram, let's call it that. But if you want to have money and want to have a great body and want to have a creative outlet, and you want to be the smartest person in the room, and you don't want to struggle with your mindset or with depression and anxiety and stuff, you need to create the hobbies around that. It needs to form part of your life, and just you need to flow and ease into these things. So if your hobbies are speaking to all of these essential desires, this actually just becomes something that you do effortlessly, and your life really just becomes something that you can live out and express the best version of yourself. So one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of people are playing Monopoly, but they never buy any assets that produce more income streams. They're just collecting their 200 Rand and passing go. And there's nothing wrong with this approach to life if that's what you choose. But the point is that if you can start focusing your energy on creating a passive income by just pursuing from today something that you believe is a passion. It doesn't even have to produce 1,000 Rand a month. If it can start producing any sort of income, and that you can start living your life in a way that you are, you are using something that's already a skill or a passion for you, and you can start producing income from that. In 10 years from now, I promise you, that would be one of the most freeing things that you have started in your life. And the more you start pursuing these passive incomes and creating a mindset around what I need to start spending my money on needs to start making me money in my future, will be the single most important thing that will get you financially free. Because it will help you to ask the question before you buy expensive materialistic things. What will my return be on this? And if you can start asking yourself those kinds of questions, you will be financially free. I can guarantee it. Because the money that you earn is taxed heavily, right? But the money that your money earns is taxed lightly. So let that sink in. So find a way to have your money work for you, and even better if it's a passion, because then you'll have the energy to do it sustainably for the rest of your life, and it won't tire you. It will just exalt you, and it will actually attract even more opportunity. You see, many people forget that the real goal of making more money isn't for more stuff. It's so that you can actually show up to your life in a way that you have the time to do whatever it is that you want because you chose to do it. I'm not talking about, lying in the sun and sipping pina coladas every day. I'm actually talking about creating something sustainable, and that you chose to do that on that particular day because it's what you really want from life. And it's not a job that just sucks the life out of you, but you have to stay there because the life that you've created over time actually becomes your master and you're a slave to it. And that's what you want to stay away from. So if you say, Rudi, I don't have money to invest, I would urge you just take this little exercise that I do with most of my clients. Print out your bank statement from last month. Highlight every single expense that was a want, something that you wanted and not explicitly needed. Next month, reduce those wants by 25% and go and invest that, even if it's 50 Rand. If it's 50 Rand, invest it into something like a savings account in your bank. If it becomes a little bit more, like 500 to 1,000 Rand, you can start putting that into unit trust investments and stuff like that, exciting stuff. But the point is that you need to take ownership of that. And you can actually go to bed knowing eventually that your money is working for you and that you've taken control of your wants. And because we can actually all just live off what we need. I think this social environment that we've all, that we're all exposed to has created us to become economic slaves because we have to show everything that we wanted and that we were able to get, or we can show everybody else what they want and we have. But it's actually counterproductive and will steal more from you than it will give you. So I'm going to end with this. It's amazing what you will create when you stop needing others to validate you. Stop searching for someone to love you, make you happy, and hand you your dreams. When you start loving yourself, cultivating inner peace, and mastering your skills, everything you want will be attracted to you. Thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure. And as always, I will be giving you guys a free budgeting tool. You can scan this QR code with your smartphone. And yeah, I would want to urge you and challenge you to start your own journey to your financial freedom. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. My handle is just Rudi Bouwer. If you have any difficulties getting this budgeting tool, please just email one of my assistants, admin3@thewealthroom.co.za. We will gladly assist you. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rudi. Thank you very much. It's very interesting to learn about the psychological and the emotional aspect of reaching that place of financial well-being. I think students really enjoy your webinars because it's so practical and it's contemporary information that they can apply in their lives. So we've got quite a few questions in the chat box in the Q&A function. I was thinking when you were speaking about comparing, I remember someone once told me a life lesson as they were doing a seminar, and they said, when you compare, you compete. And I agree with you. Life is not a competition. To me personally, it's about pursuing happiness. And I was thinking when you were discussing the topics that if you really pursue something that you are passionate about, you will become a money magnet, and you will get to a place where you enjoy financial well-being, because it's all about what you're experiencing inside, in your heart and in your mind. So I just want to read these questions out to you. We've got 9 questions at the moment for the attendees. This is your chance. If you have a question for Rudi, please put it in the Q&A, and we will try and answer it in this session for you. Rufaro Moyo says, hi, Rudi. One of the downsides of a TFSA is that it's easy to access the money and navigate if one struggles with shopping. I wanted to know what your opinion is on putting saved money into tangible items. So as students, many of us don't have enough money yet to buy property, for instance. But what about precious metals, Kruger Rands, gold, mint bars, and so forth?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with this notion. But you guys need to understand that you don't need to invest into tangible things like property. There are property funds that you can invest in, and you can start investing in property with as little as 250 Rand a month. And you know, if you are using the analogy of saying that I don't have money to invest, but I have a true desire, you know, maybe just go and do the exercise that I showed you. You know, print out your bank statement and see where you spend money on. You know, I think the entitlements that we approach our life to sometimes is, you know, I want to go and have that beer. I want to go and have that dinner. I want to go. And if you actually add up all those things, I'm not saying that the rest of your life will look like that, but it's just being mature about where you are at right now. And if it's realizing that you can't probably at this point in your life have both. So if you're choosing to go have the beer, then don't sulk about the fact that you're not having investments. Go have the beer and enjoy it with all the glory, and sit down and have that moment and be fully present in it. But then don't make yourself feel or discriminate against yourself because you don't have any investments or you don't have money to invest. Make the choice and stick to it. That's, you know, you'll bear the fruits of both of those labors.
Absolutely. Your information and your input, Rudi, is really bringing things into perspective. And I remember from your other webinars as well, these exercises that you give, they work. And they change our financial frame of mind. So attendees, yes, go and try that. It's going to work for you. You will see the difference, absolutely. I said to Rudi earlier today, the choices we make is the life that we live. So yes, I agree with you. Make the choice and then own it. Patricia Mapipi says, does age really determine which stage you are in your career?
Based on the that's a good question. Based on the slide that I gave there, yes, I think in general society that this is true, but in today's digital and ever fast-paced, forward-moving life, that's not particularly true. I think the point I was making there, for you guys to understand that it's your responsibility to understand exactly where you are in your career path, so that you can set realistic boundaries and expectations for yourself based on where you're at, not on your future self. You can build towards your future self, but you have to live with your present self, and that's what I want you to start being aware of.
Fantastic. Very good advice indeed. I've got Anonymous. How do you balance your passion and reality of having to live and pay bills?
Yeah, this is a very, very difficult thing to navigate in the beginning. And it's something, just to give you an example, my wife and I recently, she was working for a corporate startup, and she was absolutely miserable, but earning a very good salary. And we made the choice to say, well, we will not be a slave to the system. We let her leave her job and, pursue one of her passions, and got her an entry-level job at a firm that already understands what her passion is, and she can learn over time. But she's as happy as she can ever be. So to answer your question, it's going to be difficult. It's going to take sacrifice, but it's about knowing that you are buying yourself freedom. So sometimes, I heard Joe Rogan actually say on his podcast the other day, he said that if you are enslaved in a 9-to-5 and you're just barely making it to pay your bills, but you are not pursuing the passion, your passions after hours, you are not tired, you are uninspired. And it's up to you to actually inspire yourself to gradually start, pursuing those passions, and know that it takes time, and actually have grace with yourself, but actually inspiring yourself for the greater picture here.
I agree completely. And I think what counts in your favor, attendees, is that you are still very young. You have that chance to take that leap of faith and to already now start making a difference. Suzanne Leroux says, good morning, sir. I want to ask, by what stage of your life should you have started a retirement fund?
Sure. Man, it's difficult for me to say as soon as possible, because I know that it's not possible for all of you. But I mean, when I say as soon as possible, I really mean as soon as possible for you. Retirement savings is something that the sooner you start, genuinely, it gives you that amazing upside of compound interest, which is the eighth wonder of the world. It really works magnificently. I mean, I just see so many people that start very late in life and have to really exert a whole lot of saving to meet up with somebody that, say, started at the age of 23. It really counts in your favor to start as soon as possible. And it's really not as difficult as you may think. If you want, you can reach out to me and I can take you through a process to get it put on. You can email me at rudy@thewealthroom.co.za or this admin3@thewealthroom.co.za, and I'll be happy to put something together for you. But it's it's again not something that you must overexert yourself to. You must meet yourself where you're at, but the sooner you start, the better, definitely.
Wonderful. Then I've got Anonymous. You spoke about investing in property trusts from 250 Rand. Where can we start finding these student-friendly investment options? Could you please share? I never know where to start when wanting to find these.
Okay, so I'm rather not going to divulge too much of that, because this creates this creates expectation, but it's more of actually becoming a little bit of a it's going to be a bespoke thing. It's going to be something that we can tailor make for you. So you're welcome to reach out to me directly, again, on that admin3@thewealthroom.co.za, or to my personal one, Rudi@thewealthroom.co.za, and we can see what we can structure for you. But there are many, many different options, definitely.
Thank you, Rudi. Michaela Harrison, would you recommend EFTs and tax-free savings for students to start their investment for their future? And are there any EFTs you recommend? ETFs you recommend? ETFs. Would you recommend ETFs?
Yeah, no, definitely. ETFs are a way to go. I just think for where you're at right now, it's a good place to start with the tax-free saving, definitely, because it's a nice little savings pocket. Just know that you are capped at 500,000 Rand for your lifetime. So it is something that you can start saving in at a later stage. But very importantly for you guys to know that before you start investing to actually start accumulating wealth, the point of where you need to start is that you need to actually protect your wealth. So if you don't have an income protection in place, rather take out something like that and then start investing. The next step will be to get some sort of rainy day fund in place, which I usually recommend, like a money market unit trust, which we could put together for you very simply. It's a free, a very cost-effective way to start saving and protecting your future assets. Very simply.
Wonderful. Yeska, I hope I said it correctly. Jacobs asks, beside Napoleon Hill, are there any other books you would recommend?
Yeah, I refer to The Richest Man in Babylon. I think that's probably a good starting point, just to be relevant to our topic today. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma is something that really impacted me, that was also relevant to today's topic because it talks about burnout and how you show up to your life. Sure, there's so many, guys. Mark Manson writes a book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F, but it's, you know, it's a very interesting.
That's the first one they're going to acquire.
Yes, but it's actually very insightful because it actually talks about how you show up to life as opposed to what society wants from us. So yeah, I think the title is just there to sell books because it's so shocking, but it's actually really insightful and helpful book. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Danielle van Deventer says, thank you so much. I will be a final year student next year and after that probably start working. What is the 3 most important things I should think or do when obtaining my first salary income?
Yeah, it's I think I've already mentioned it. It would first be to protect that income. That would be your very first thing to do. So some sort of income protection. It will cost you anything, depending on what your salary is going to be. It will cost you anything between 500 Rand and 800 Rand a month. And then from there, I would say put some money into a unit trust, like a money market. You know, Alan Gray or any one of the companies do very well with that kind of stuff. So you need to have at least 6 months salary in that. Then we can start looking at doing some retirement planning and stuff. Yeah.
Anonymous, which investments are trustworthy for students and where do we start?
Unit trust investments. I think that's, you know, I'm going to keep going back to where you guys need to start. You guys need to start with having 3 to 6 months of your salaries in place, and then any financial advisor who's worth his socks should be advising you that way so that you can actually protect your assets before you start investing and looking at those kinds of growth opportunities.
Then we have a comment from Patricia in the chat function. She says, thanks for clarifying that, Rudi. It's about meeting yourself where you are in your career, being more awake of which stage you are at and being more patient with yourself. Yeah. Very good. Matt Sims asked, if possible, can you name a few relevant podcasts, local podcasts that we can listen to?
Matt, maybe reach out to me. I don't know any off the top of my head, but I definitely have a few just on my phone that I can send you. Yeah, use any one of the email addresses I've just given to you guys today.
Rudi, one question here from Anonymous. With investments, it's a statement/question. Like the savings account, don't you actually make a loss because the best interest rates are no more than 3%, but inflation is about 5%. So your money loses value when it stays with the bank while they make profit.
Absolutely. You know, I think just by you knowing that already, you're way ahead of most people. The banks actually go and they invest your money into the structures that I've just given you. The bank loans your money to someone else, earns an interest on that, and then invests those interests into unit trusts and gives you cents to the rand. So definitely, I would only ever invest money into banks to use it as you know, a budgeting tool so that you can, you know, have access to it as you manage your monthly expenses.
And then one last question before I move on to our comments, also from Anonymous. Can't I get the Wealth Room app from your Instagram?
No, you can reach out to me directly and we'll be able to start engaging with you on a personal level. That's how we operate.
Wonderful. Then I've got a wonderful comment from Tenswalo who says, this is beyond educational, very practical and liberating. Thank you so much. I've got Michaela Harris. All students should start investing in a tax-free savings account now. Even if it's 100 Rand per month, it's definitely worth it. Would you agree, Rudi?
Definitely. Absolutely. Start as soon as possible.
Then I have another comment here from Sigle. Thank you, Rudi. This has been refreshing. I've been searching for this kind of financial conversation. This was what I needed exactly.
Fantastic.
I just want to see what our last comment in the chat function is. I saw something come in. Wendy, thank you so much. I honestly expected this session to be a bit more superficial, but instead it spoke about wealth in a really wholesome manner.
Glad you see it that way, Wendy.
So with that, now with no further ado, we just want to thank you, Rudi, for another wonderful session. Thank you for your impartation, and we can see from the comments, everyone just really enjoyed your advice. The third webinar will be advertised. We will be sending a mailer out on Friday, so please attendees, make sure you register for that, and that will certainly not be our last webinar with Rudi. So from the Golden Key Southern Africa head office, we just want to thank you for your time and your effort, and also to the attendees, you are special to us, and we hope to see you in the next session. Have a lovely day, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Have a lovely week. Ciao. Bye.
Bye.